Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the second section of Chapter 3. In this section, we'll talk about the nature of culture. Usually people use 3 similes and 2 metaphors to describe the nature of culture. Culture is like an iceberg. Culture is like an onion. Culture is of software. Culture is like the water a fish swims in. Culture is the grammar of our behavior. Why do we say culture is like an iceberg? Now look at this picture. Can you find those above the sea level? Yes, you are right. Food, dress, music, visual arts, drama, crafts, dance, literature, language, celebrations, and games. What are those below the sea level? Courteous, contextual conversational patterns, concept of time, personal space, rules of conduct, facial expressions, nonverbal communication, body language, touching, eye contact, and notions of leadership. In short, culture is like an iceberg. It is very beautiful but very dangerous. From the picture, you can see that the majority of culture is below the surface, and only some of it visible, which makes your study of culture difficult. For example, in terms of business culture, what can you say about the sea level? Yes, its environment, behaviors, ethnic, language, nonverbal, and religion. Then think about what are those below the sea level. There are norms, rules, perceptions, stereotypes, networks, business philosophy, subcultures, and subgroups, and values. In order to truly understand the culture, we must explore the behavior below the sea level. Then our question is, how to build successful business relationships when cultural differences exist. The common elements of trust, sincerity, and integrity are necessary. Gerd Hofstede describes culture as an onion. He states the following 4 levels: symbols, heroes, rituals, and values, which have been depicted like the skins of an onion. It indicates that symbols represent the most superficial and the easiest to perceive by an outsider and the least important to an insider. Words, gestures, pictures, dress, hairstyle, flags, status symbols, etc. belong to this category. The second skin of the onion is heroes, referring to what kind of people you worship. For example, Batman in USA and Wukong, the Monkey King in China, can be served as culture heroes. The third part is rituals. Rituals are those collective activities that are considered socially essential within a culture, such as sports events. Tea culture has evolved into diverse styles in the process of spreading throughout the world. For example, the ceremony of serving tea varies from nation to nation. Religious rituals, practical rituals, and art performance are emphasized in Japan, Korea, and China, respectively. Symbols, heroes, and rituals have been included in this category of practice. They are visible and obvious to an outside observer. They are determined by values, which are the deeper manifestations of culture and the most difficult to understand by an outsider. Why do we say that culture is our software? According to Gerd Hofstede, culture is the software of the mind. Culture is the basic operating environment that enables software programs to run. We all know that computers do what programs ask them to do. Human beings do according to their culture. In this sense, humans are similar to computers. But We do not exactly the same as computers. We are creative, but computers do not. To be more exact, we might as well take the computer analogy further and say that culture is the basic operating environment that enables software programs to run. Culture is like doors or windows. Culture is a mental set of windows through which all of life is viewed. Humans around the world are physically pretty much the same. We can think of our physical selves as the hardware, but we cannot be said to be humans until we are programmed, and each of us is programmed by our home culture. Culture is like the water a fish swims in. A fish takes the water for granted because it is totally surrounded by the water that it really cannot imagine another environment. We usually take culture for granted since everything we say and do takes place in the same culture. Everyone is swimming in the same water. Our culture is so much a part of who we are and what the world is like for us that we do not notice it. Culture is the grammar of our behavior. Culture is what people need to know in order to behave appropriately in any society. Most people find it difficult to describe the meaning system of their own culture, just as native speakers are unable to describe their grammatical rules of their native language. Like the grammar of a language, culture grammars are repetitive. They are made up of basic patterns that occur again and again. For instance, an important Chinese culture is the distinction between inside and outside. This pattern shows up in the language, traditional architecture, and in social relationships. For example, in Chinese traditional architecture, rights can be arranged into 3 levels: etiquette and custom, law and discipline of right, and the sacrifice offering. The first level was correlated with the distinction between inside and outside, the second level with priority in rank, and the third level with ancestry temple of a ruling house must be the first.